Hi, I'm Philip Memmer, and this is a poem from my new book, Pantheon, from Lost Horse Press. The God of Masks. How many shapes must a god take to attract your notice? I tried them all. I came as sunlight through clouds, as a moon full and unobstructed, as fire, and various things afire. I came as a man bent with age, a woman hardened by war. I came to you as each sort of animal, and as trees, and the lily, and the rose. As a mountain I came to you, as the sea, as stars over vast distances arranged in suggestive shapes. Nothing worked, though I came to you with 3 faces, with 100 hands, a woman's frown upon the body of a lion, an elephant's smile on the body of a man, though I came as wealth and as famine, as thunder and as drought. Nothing lifted your gaze, though you claimed to seek me, and I despaired. And in my despair I ripped out my 100 arms, tore off my 1,000 masks, let cool my fires beyond counting. I came to you as darkness and silence. And you, so enamored of absence, now you see me, now at last you hear.
I'm Roy Bentley, and I'm going to read a poem from American Loneliness, maybe 2 poems from it, and one from my new and selected, which Lost Horse is bringing out. American Loneliness is an epigram, and if it were a painting or a photo, you would call it American Loneliness. That's from Alicia Ostraker, Biking to the George Washington Bridge. Appalachian kids are apprenticed to violence and to loneliness, neither of which they master. Loneliness is the heart shorn of all astonishment. These are the people who breathe rivers silting up with disenchantment and early death and funerals. My slain uncles intended the world only as much harm as it the world intended them, were feared. Their younger sister Nettie, my mother, is like that. Today, she hair drags a neighbor from her duplex. Says she didn't, quote, appreciate her tone, unquote. My mother is comfortable with fury. She accepts it like she accepted the contents of the pockets of her dead brothers. Miscellanea handed her in a morgue. She is a woman who does not defer readily to men, which is to say, if she prayed, she might call God a motherfucker. She surely doesn't expect favors. And today, beating her neighbor, she is mourning murdered sons of the Commonwealth of Kentucky. With every just yell for help crossing the grasses, she's settling an old score with having been born. This is the front of the book, which is, of course, reversed. Everything just helps, doesn't it? Helps out. I'm going to read this poem, this other poem from this book. It's called All the Pretty Horses. The trees budded that month, first the redbuds, then dogwoods, and someone I noticed me. Iowa woman with blatant blue eyes, a body articulate in several languages, including the lingua franca of sighing. When we fell together that first time, neither of us gave any thought to how sound travels, testifies to everything. Which is to say, she was a screamer, living in an apartment with thin walls. My place wasn't much, or much better. She said she'd been a singer, played piano, but the piano player part of her had wandered off. She sang for me, sang All the Pretty Horses, while the Ohio air was vanishing blossoms and the soft exhale of the everyday. Those 2 are from this, which is a joy for me. I've got One poem I'd like to read, it's also about my mother. My new and selected is actually called My Mother's Red Ford. This poem is called Distances of the Planets from the Sun. I'm on a field trip tonight looking at the night sky in the Dayton Planetarium, a bright litter of galaxies unspooling on a shared axis. I see my mother's face, years before anything terrible happened, not counting a backwoods upbringing or my father's serial desertions. Hair the color of open coal cars at close of day in the hills, breath of stardust welling up from the void, a furrow of care between her eyes. See the face turn into a sag of lawn chairs? See the celestial arabesques that the tour guide says are 350,000 light years distant, then give or take. One quadrant of blue pleated with arroyos of nothingness mimics the face of the crucified Christ, looking heavenward, crying out, my God, why hast thou forsaken me?" Constellations buzz hum, tisk, tisk, at the outline of his back, the Christ, wavelengths of light not as quantifiable as love, though nearly as measurable as the distances of the planets from the sun. I'm pointing, reminding myself supernova, the word stands for the force of nature who sent me money for groceries, my mother. That dark sector is the time she took $5,000 from me, from the sale of the house we shared on paper, took it saying that she could, without tears. There, by Virgo, is the nanny she was to Alice Stallard. There the Nettie who sold real estate, and a Nettie who rose every morning to breathe naphtha and steam crease sleeves and cuffs as a hired girl. There she is, made up in a box, a heart skilled in conditional love, hovering like some ghost planet above a black hole grave. Thanks a lot.